The night hums with restless energy. Cars blur through the streets, neon signs flicker, and someone in a small apartment lies awake, staring at the glow of their phone. Their chest feels heavy, their mind spins with to-do lists and deadlines. Now imagine a different scene. Thousands of years ago, a sage in silk robes sits beside a quiet river in China. He doesn't fight the flow, he watches it. The current splits around a stone, one side bright in sunlight, the other shadowed and cool. The sage smiles. He sees a truth modern life has almost forgotten. Everything exists in pairs, light and dark, motion and stillness, strength and softness, yin and yang. You've felt it too. The push to always achieve, always move forward, always hustle, that's yang. And the exhaustion, the craving for rest, the need for silence, that's yin. But what happens when one side takes over? Too much yang, and you burn out. Too much yin, and you lose momentum. The secret is not to choose one, but to balance both. So tonight, we'll step into ancient wisdom temples, parables, and the natural world itself to uncover how yin and yang can guide you to balance. Not in some distant past, but in your everyday life, your work, your relationships, your peace of mind. Long before skyscrapers pierced the sky, long before electric light conquered the night, ancient sages in China looked at the world with patient eyes. They studied rivers, mountains, the rhythm of dawn and dusk, and they noticed something modern people often miss. Nothing stands alone. Everything comes in pairs. They gave this truth a symbol. The Tai Chi, a circle half dark, half light, with each containing a dot of its opposite. Yin and Yang. Yang was the rising sun, bursting with fire, energy, and motion. It was the force that pushes seeds through soil, the ambition that drives a young warrior, the determination that makes a craftsman sharpen his blade again and again. Yin was the cooling moon, the soft soil, the silent rest. It was the patience of a mother, the stillness of a pond, the night that allows the day to recover. The sages did not see these forces as enemies. They saw them as lovers in a dance, leaning into each other, giving way, creating harmony. A Taoist story tells of a man named Chang Tu, who dreamed he was a butterfly. In the dream, he fluttered freely, carefree and light. When he awoke, he wondered, am I Chang Duzu who dreamed of being a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming I am Chang Duzu? This was not just a puzzle. It was yin and yang, dream and reality, self and world, one flowing into the other. Another parable speaks of water. Water has no shape, yet it can carve valleys deeper than swords. It yields, yet it conquers. It is soft, yet it wears down mountains. This is yin overcoming yang, not by force, but by patience. The ancient farmers knew this balance well. They rose with the sun yang, but when rains came, they rested yin. They did not curse the storms, nor cling to the sunshine. They adapted, knowing each carried the seed of the other. The wisdom of yin and yang whispered that no joy lasts forever, but neither does sorrow. No victory is final, but no failure is absolute. Balance lives in movement, in cycles, in change. So when a modern man collapses from exhaustion at his desk, the Taoist sage would simply say, "You have forgotten yin." And when another hides too long in comfort, drifting aimlessly, the sage might say, "You have forgotten yang." This is the heart of the teaching. Life is not war between opposites, it is the dance between them. Why did yin and yang matter so deeply to the ancients? Because they lived with nature, not apart from it. When the sun rose, they worked. When night fell, they rested. When the river flooded, they endured. When drought came, they prayed and waited. They couldn't control the seasons, but they could align themselves with them. And from this alignment came survival and wisdom. The circle of yin and yang was more than a symbol. It was a map of life. Look closely at it. The white curve flowing into black, the black folding back into white, and within each half a dot of the other color. The sages were teaching us something profound. Nothing is pure. Nothing is permanent. Inside strength lies fragility, and inside fragility lies strength. Think of day and night. Night is yin, dark, quiet, still. But even at midnight, the stars burn with yang. Day is yang, bright, active, full of motion. But even at noon, a tree casts shadows of yin. This truth extended into every corner of life. In health, too much yang, constant stress, overwork, overstimulation leads to burnout. Too much yang, idleness, inactivity leads to decay. In emotions, rage is excess yang, depression excess yin. but calmness sits in between, where both forces meet. In relationships, one partner might be fiery and outspoken, the other gentle and listening. Together, they balance if each respects the other's role. The meaning was clear. Wholeness requires both halves. Now, compare this to modern life. In the US today, nearly half of adults report feeling burned out at work. Sleep is sacrificed, meals are rushed, and downtime often means scrolling on a glowing screen rather than true rest. That's yang spinning out of control motion without pause. But the opposite can also trap us. Too much yin numbing ourselves with endless comfort, binge-watching, or withdrawing from challenges leads to stagnation. We think we are resting, but we are actually sinking. The ancients would shake their heads at both extremes. For them, the art of living was not about choosing one side, but knowing when to lean into each. Just as a farmer must plant in spring and harvest in autumn, we must act when it is time for yang, and retreat when it is time for yin. Philosophers like Lao Tzu, the author of the Tao Te Ching, described it with water. Nothing in the world is as soft and yielding as water, he wrote. Yet for dissolving the hard and inflexible, nothing can surpass it. The meaning is timeless. Sometimes softness is stronger than force, and sometimes stillness achieves more than struggle. To understand yin and yang is to understand cycles. You cannot always be in growth, nor always in rest. Like breathing, life is inhaling and exhaling. If you only inhale, you suffocate. If you only exhale, you collapse. Balance is the rhythm that sustains, and this is why the concept still speaks across centuries. In a world that glorifies hustle and hides stillness, the reminder of yin and yang is not just philosophy, is medicine. Let's step out of the philosophy books and into life itself. It's Monday morning in New York. A young woman rushes into her office, latte in hand, earbuds blasting motivational podcasts. Her calendar is stacked, her inbox overflowing. She powers through lunch, barely tasting her food. By 8 p.m., her body aches, her mind fogs, but she keeps pushing because, in her world, slowing down feels like weakness. This is yang unchecked, fire burning too hot, productivity without pause, and like all flames without balance, it eventually consumes its fuel. Now imagine if she embraced yin. 10 minutes of stillness before opening her inbox, a short walk under the sun at lunch, a conscious pause in the evening to rest, rather than collapse. Her output wouldn't shrink, it would grow, because rest sharpens the blade of action. Across the country, a man in Los Angeles reclines on his sofa, remote in one hand, phone in the other. He scrolls endlessly. His fridge is stocked with takeout, his dreams filed away, as someday, the hours melt into nights, the nights into weeks. This is yin unchecked, rest collapsing into stagnation, softness turning into decay. But when yang enters, setting goals, moving the body, taking initiative, he comes alive. Even one small action, like cooking a meal or taking a morning run, becomes a spark. And that spark, once nurtured, grows into momentum. In a suburban kitchen, a couple argues. One partner raises their voice, passionate and fiery, demanding change, pure yang. The other withdraws into silence, wounded and defensive. Deep yin. They clash, not because one is right and the other wrong, but because neither honors the balance. But imagine if the fiery one softened, and the quiet one spoke. Yin listens, yang expresses. Together, they weave harmony instead of discord. Picture a marathon runner training in the rain. Every morning, up before dawn, pounding pavement, pushing limits. That's yang. But even elite athletes know, without yin rest days, deep sleep, gentle stretching, the body collapses. Muscles tear, bones crack. Yang requires yin to survive, and so it is with every human endeavor. Now let's step closer to you, sitting here, listening. Where in your life has yang taken over? Maybe it's in your work, the endless grind, the refusal to rest, the voice in your head that says more, more, more. Where has yin taken over? Maybe in your evenings, the comfort zone, the numbing routines, the quiet surrender of your best self to distraction. The ancient wisdom isn't asking you to judge yourself. It's inviting you to notice, to see your life as a river, sometimes rushing, sometimes calm, always moving. How do we apply this in a modern US life, fast-paced, digital, demanding? Morning, start with yang. Move your body, write your goals, light a candle, open the blinds, invite energy. Midday, protect yin. Step away from the screen, stretch, eat mindfully. Even 5 minutes of deep breathing restores balance. Evening, shift gently back into yin. Lower the lights, let the noise settle, read or reflect. Allow rest to be sacred, not guilty. Weekends, blend the two. A hike in the woods is yang for your body, but yin for your soul. Dinner with friends is yang in energy, but yin in connection. Remember, balance is not static. You don't achieve it once and keep it forever. It's a dance you practice daily, leaning forward, leaning back, listening to what life asks of you. Here's the mystery that keeps us curious. If yin always contains yang, and yang always contains yin, then where does one truly end and the other begin? That question is not meant to be solved, but lived. What does all of this mean for us living in a world of smartphones, deadlines, and constant noise? How do we bring the balance of yin and yang into daily life? The ancients taught in metaphors, but let's translate them into steps we can feel, breathe, and practice. 1. Balance in work and rest. Ask yourself, am I moving too much or too little? If you're running non-stop, add yin. Schedule downtime like you would a meeting. Protect rest as fiercely as you protect productivity. If you're drifting in inertia, add yang. Take one decisive step forward, make the call, send the application, start the workout. Practical action. Use the 90-20ths method. Work in focused yang bursts of 90 minutes, then pause for 20 minutes of yin stretch, breathe, or walk. This rhythm mirrors nature. Waves crash, then retreat. 2. Balance in emotions. Anger is yang boiling over. Sadness is yin sinking too deep. Both are natural, but both need balance. Instead of suppressing, notice, what is this emotion asking for? Anger may need the cooling of yin. Silence, reflection, a pause before speaking. Sadness may need the fire of yang, connection, movement, a call to action. Practical action. Before reacting, inhale deeply yang, then exhale slowly yin. In one breath, balance begins. 3. Balance in relationships. Love itself is yin and yang. One gives, one receives, one speaks, one listens. But imbalance creates pain. When one always speaks, the other always listens. When one always acts, the other always waits. Practical action. At the end of the day, share roles. If you were fiery and active yang at work, let yourself soften yin at home. If your partner was quiet yin, invite their voice into the light yang. Harmony grows when both sides shift, not when one side stays fixed. 4. Balance in the digital age. Our screens are pure, young, bright, loud, demanding attention. Hours online overstimulate the mind, while leaving the body heavy with yin inertia. Practical action. Create digital yin. Dim the lights. Silence notifications. Set a boundary. No phone for the first hour after waking, and the last hour before sleep. That silence is not wasted, it's medicine for your nervous system. 5. Balance in self-identity. We often label ourselves, I'm strong, I'm soft, I'm logical, I'm emotional. But yin and yang remind us we are both. Strength without softness is brittle. Softness without strength dissolves. You are capable of fire and water, action and rest, courage and vulnerability. Practical action. Next time you feel locked into a role, ask, what is the opposite energy I could bring right now? A tough conversation might need softness. A quiet hesitation might need boldness. The opposite energy often unlocks the door. 6. Balance in the bigger picture. Life itself is a cycle of yin and yang. Childhood is yang growth, movement, endless forward motion. Old age leans yin wisdom, reflection, the quiet gathering of experience. Neither is better, both are sacred. When we honor the season we are in, we live with less resistance and more peace. The wisdom is simple but profound. Notice where you are out of balance. Invite the opposite. Trust the cycle, because just as day turns to night and winter to spring, your life too will keep turning. You don't need to force it to, only need to flow with it. And in that flow, you'll discover something surprising. The peace you've been chasing has been here all along, waiting in the dance between yin and yang. The fire has burned low. The room is quiet now, lit only by the glow of a single candle. Outside, the night stretches wide, but you can almost feel the promise of dawn hiding in the dark. This is yin and yang, the eternal turning of opposites, each carrying the seed of the other. The night is not the end, but the womb of tomorrow's sunrise. The silence is not emptiness, but the space where your next breath begins. So as you return to your life, your deadlines, your routines, your joys, and your struggles. Remember this: you are not meant to live all in Yang or all in Yin. You are meant to dance between them, to move and to rest, to fight and to yield, to shine and to soften. And perhaps the greatest balance of all is this: knowing you don't have to figure it out perfectly. You only have to take the next step in rhythm with life. If this wisdom spoke to you, share it, leave a thought below, and join us again. Together, we'll keep walking the path of ancient wisdom, finding balance in a modern world.